Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Sacred Exchange, where souls meet, hearts transform, and love leads the way. I'm Catherine.
I'm John.
And we are here to talk to you guys today about closing out loops.
Yes, closing the loops. And we've talked about this a couple times, right? But it's come up more and more.
Yeah.
And when we say loops, it's more like cycles. If you're noticing patterns in your life where, oh, this has come up, or if you've done some ancestral history tracking, tracing, whatever, you might see that there's some cycles that are in play that you see play over and over again.
Yeah. And essentially, like when we first started with the Sacred Exchange again, after taking a break over summer, we were actually talking about the loops then, and all of these kind of synchronicities that had been happening on our family vacation that were like repeats of the past, but in a different way. And what we've noticed this week, and actually I think it's even before that, because I had seen that TikTok video, and in the TikTok video, this woman was talking about like closing off loops, and her example was like she had a hole in her pocket of her jacket, and every time she was wearing the jacket, she would notice the hole, and she couldn't put her phone in there, she couldn't put her keys in there because it'd like get lost in her jacket or whatever. And it was like such an energetic threat to her system, because like all day her mind is thinking about this hole, and oh yeah, you go and do this thing automatically, and then you have to kind of, oh right, I can't put it in this pocket because of the hole. And it was like every time she'd get home, she'd forget to sew it because she doesn't have the jacket on. Yeah. But when you put it on again, then you remember, oh, right, I was supposed to sew it. So essentially, she sewed up the hole, and she closed that kind of energetic drain that was happening for her every time she wore that jacket, which then led us to having conversation about what loops do we still have open that we just haven't closed. Not like for really no reason whatsoever.
No, I mean, how many things do you live with every day, right? That you just, it's an annoyance, but you live with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll use a prime example of our dishwasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wheels on our dishwasher were starting to break, and whatever.
It's been breaking for a while.
Yeah, we were down to like, I don't know, 3 wheels or something like that. One on one side, 2 on the other. And for years, we've done this.
It's like
where
ridiculous
it's like
to admit it.
Struggling with this dishwasher, trying to get it. Simple little things.
Yeah, because it would go off track, right? Because the wheels, like you'd pull the bottom rack out, and the wheels would dislodge, and then you'd get like your dish is kind of clunking this way or that way or whatever. And so this week,
we ordered new wheels because it was enough is enough. And I just wonder how many other people, and then we started looking for other things, like our rings were another one, right? Where it was like, okay, we wanted to get them sized, and we're always worried, or I was always worried about losing them because they slide and when I'm at work and all that kind of stuff. And we just started looking for those opportunities to go, okay, let's stop doing this.
Yeah, it's instead of waiting for tomorrow or waiting till next week or waiting till next month, let's start closing some of these loops that we have in our lives right now, because essentially what they're doing is they're draining that energy from you, right? And you can feel exhausted and go, I've done nothing all day. Why am I so exhausted? But when you've got all these things kind of playing in your mind of these kind of open problems that just need a kind of solution to them, or they just need some sort of finality to them, it definitely has been shifting things for us, I would say, in that there's a sense of accomplishment of like, oh, look at us, we got the dishwasher things.
But it also allows you for that energy to go somewhere else, right?
Yes.
Instead of going and keeping in that cycle and keeping in that loop. Now, I mean, what I've noticed is you'll worry about it for a little bit of a while after, right? Like, there's still a part of me that when I go to unload or load the dishwasher, it's like waiting for it to do this, like, clunk, clunk, clunk.
Yeah.
Or checking to make sure my rings aren't falling off.
Yeah.
But eventually, like, it's dissipated.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll be gone. And then, I mean, now the energy is going somewhere else, but it'll be fully, all of that awareness will go somewhere else at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I think we do as humans. We just put up with things, and it's like, why?
Yeah, well, and
Why?
even like beyond that, one of the other things that we've been talking about closing the loop for was money that was borrowed years ago, with no real condition of giving that money back. And yet there's always been this kind of underlying guilt of like, we just have this money. And so it's about putting together the money now to close that energetic loop as well, to go, thank you, and this is done. And the same this week came up with a course that I had created quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just been kind of sitting there, and I haven't been doing anything with it. I've got a woman who was trained under it that really, really enjoyed it. And so this week it was like, maybe instead of having to redo this entire course so it aligns more with who I am now, that I can actually just pass this course on to her, and now she's the owner of this course. And it felt like there's some finality there. There's a closed loop that doesn't look like I'm still reaping benefits from it or anything like that, but it's just the ability to go, and I'm done with this now.
Yeah, and that one I think is a little more, there's more to that one. Just it's closing the loop, but it's also birthing something else to somebody else, right?
Yes.
The other one that I thought we should mention is, your game. The game that you played this week with your friends.
Yes.
Right? You were always wanting to play this game with people, and we tried playing with the family, and one never really reached the the essence of what you wanted the game to be.
We did.
But
just, you can only go as deep with the people that are like wanting to play it.
But in what you wanted to accomplish in playing the game with the family, you didn't get to accomplish that.
Okay.
Which you did this past week with your friends.
Yes. So we played the Masters of Light game. There was a group of 6 of us. And it's such a beautiful game because it really gets you to dig deeper into your own kind of consciousness and your own what your life experiences, and you're sharing, and you've got people celebrating you and people kind of supporting you as you go through the game and whatnot. And so it's really beautiful. But like the cycle that actually came up with that was, it happened on the 1-year anniversary of me being at a church when I was in on the Camino. And the church that I was in on that particular day, on the 1-year anniversary of it, I had done a meditation with Mother Mary and had called in all of my female ancestors to be with me, and they were all there with me in the church. It was such a profound experience. And then on the 1-year anniversary of that, to be surrounded by women that I highly, love and admire and, I just want to connect with. It was kind of like bringing that full circle, or keeping the energy of that loop going in that connection with the divine feminine. So yeah, it was good. So when it comes to kind of closing off these loops or keeping the loops open, because I think you have to make a decision, like, do I want this to keep looping in my life, or is there something that needs to build on this, or is there something that needs to be taken away from this? Do I need to just close this altogether? Because like a loop where I'm connecting with women, I'm like, I want that loop to just stay open and just keep kind of building on that. Whereas like paying off debts and stuff like that, it's like I want to bring a close to those loops. And then we were talking about like the emotional loops that we get into. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I think it's easier said than done with some of these things, with cycles, right? It's not just a matter of closing it up. It's not a matter of just replacing the dishwasher wheels. That is a very human thing. It's just an example.
Yeah.
But, like money problems or being whatever. People get caught in these cycles. And to me, again, you're looking for, within those cycles, what's missing? Why does this keep rehapping? Like, continue to happen?
Yeah.
Does it just need to be vocalized or viewed or witnessed? Or is there more to it? Is there something that's missing in that cycle? Is the cycle broken? Is the loop broken and needs to be completed?
Yeah.
For that loop cycle to transcend somewhere else. So yeah, that's because you just see it throughout the world, right? You see like lots of people struggle with a lot of things and continue to struggle with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I don't think people, again, here it is, like we take something simple like the dishwasher and why not just replace the wheels? And I'm not going to say that those cycles aren't just as simple. I think they are, but we just don't pay enough attention to them.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, or for myself specifically, as the only person I can really speak for, so to use the dishwasher as an example, so I know it's a problem, right? In my mind, I have no idea that I can just buy the wheels and replace the wheels. In my mind, the wheels come with the dishwasher, so my mind is telling me we need to buy a new dishwasher in order to fix this problem, right? Yeah. And so I think when you're dealing with, say someone has money struggles, right? And they're looking at, I need this big job with this big salary to fix this problem, and that is too hard for me to get there. There's no way I can be a CEO of a $1 million company or whatever. But they're not looking at just how easy it is to kind of replace some of those initial thoughts that we have around money. Yeah. Because I know I struggled with a lot of poverty mindset when you and I first got together. It not that it was poverty in the sense of how some people experience poverty, but we were definitely not doing overly well financially. Yeah. And there was days where we actually counted out pennies to be able to buy our kids milk for cereal and stuff like that. And like you go to the store with your bag of pennies, and it was humiliating. But that was the source of money that we had at that point in time.
Humbling.
Absolutely humbling. Absolutely. But it wasn't that, I mean, did finances start to increase over time? Yeah, they did. But at the same time, we were both working a lot on building our abundance mindset. Yep. We were watching, videos about building that. I was reading books about how to work on abundance mindset, and you start doing these different little activities to help build your abundance and to learn the manifestation techniques and whatnot. And without that, I'd probably still be in a poverty mindset, because I thought the world was the problem when it came to finances. I didn't realize that I held so many beliefs. And I think that's why a lot of people get stuck in those cycles. They see the world as being the problem instead of looking within themselves to go, what am I believing in right now that's allowing this to be true? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We look at it as a too big of a problem, right? We don't look at it well enough. Like here we look at the dishwasher, and like you said, I will have to replace the whole thing. And then along comes John and says, well, why have we been doing, let's just find the wheels. And I was like, I'm sure we could just find a rack or whatever, but no, lo and behold, the wheels were there. But I think, yes, we look at these problems and go, yeah, that's too big, so I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to continue on in this. Or we don't look deep enough, right? Where it's like, I have this problem. Yes, but is this been in your family? Is this a family inherited problem that maybe you just need to find the wheels to complete that loop?
Absolutely. Because just going back to like the poverty mindset, to look at your own parents and what was their experience with money, and then to look at your grandparents, what was their experience with money, and great grandparents, what was their experience, and whether it was your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparents, depending on how old you are, they somewhere in those kind of first 4 generations, they experienced the Great Depression, right? Which was like the hugest economical downfall, and families really struggled during that time. And I know it's been a lot of recessions since as well, but that I think was the most impactful on many families. And there's not one of us existing in this world right now that I think, or that I don't think, that their families experienced that Great Depression and that fear around that. Yeah. So we all have it kind of ingrained in ourselves that, and so then we have to look at that, like, what is the loops that have been created in the family because of that one event, and how was your family, how did they experience it? I know when I did some ancestral family work, my my paternal grandfather, his family, he was the oldest of 17, and they didn't have quite 17 children at the time of the Great Depression, but it was probably 8 or 9 children at that point in time. And like what they were using for food and stuff, it was like very, very minimal. Yeah. And so then when COVID hit, and I was like, we need all the peanut butter,
stockpile,
all of the pasta. But I was running on that loop of like, we're going to run out of food and I need to make sure the kids are fed. Like that was the biggest kind of predominant thought in my mind. So yeah, if you're not aware of what the family's stories have been, they can just kind of keep running through you.
Well, you can, in a sense, you could do everything that in your power to fix whatever, fix the dishwasher, right? But it's still broken or still continues to break because, you know, you have to look at all of these things. You can't look at just your existence.
Yeah.
You have to look at things in a bigger picture. I mean, when it comes to these physical things, yes. But like when it comes to the bigger aspects of life, you really have to look at the bigger picture of things.
Oh, absolutely.
But fixing those little things like your dishwasher gives you the opportunity to be able to have that freedom in your mind to think about those bigger things. Right?
Yes. It
frees up that space.
Yeah, then you're not just constantly having this interrupted thought of, these bloody wheels on this dishwasher, or, you know, a broken zipper on a jacket, or shoes that are they're just not quite right anymore. Like it seems so silly and it seems so trivial. It's a very human, mundane thing, and yet it's something that we've all experienced. It's something that we've all done, that we put that kind of task off for just a little bit. I'll get to it. But it's playing in your mind constantly.
Yeah. More and more, I try to, like, as soon as stuff comes up like that, just deal with it.
Yeah.
If you know that, and I used to be, and I still try to fix things.
Yes, you're a
like,
MacGyver.
Yes. But more and more now, I'm like, just replace it. You know, if this is going to fix the problem permanently, just replace it.
Yeah.
And because then it's done.
Yeah.
You know, I can think of another one right now, our shower. That's next one that's going.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we can bandage this up, or you could just replace it.
Yeah.
And then you have that much time to spend your energy somewhere else on better things to make your life that much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to go a little bit deeper into the kind of emotional loops that we can get into, because I think as much as this little stuff, the mundane stuff is important, and it also helps us to gain more of that energetic traction. One of the parts that we were talking about with those loops is what of our emotions are connected to the past that we're just allowing that energetic loop to just keep kind of showing up, whether it's in your own personal life or in your relationships or in your communication with others. And if it's like, it's always the same loop, and it's like you can almost like premeditate exactly how the conversation's going to go because you've done this conversation so many times. It's like, how can you shift yourself so that you're jumping off of that loop, or you're closing that loop completely to go, I'm not showing up in this conversation like this anymore. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think I've seen this in a number of different people, and I'm just going to speak for myself, but I think it is just that it's a little bit of change of perspective, right? Where it's like, you know, I've always, if you've done it this way for the last 30 years, is it still the right way? Are you getting the results that you want?
Yeah.
Or can you even just for a minute think about what it would look like from somebody else's perspective of whatever that situation is or that emotion that's coming up? Just shift it a little bit, just to see how your body reacts and how it feels inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, showing up just slightly different, right? Like if you're someone who, you know that you tend to get wound up and your voice gets louder, is it possible to take a couple of deep breaths and kind of go into silence while you're allowing the other person to speak? If you're someone who usually reacts with a lot of anger or sadness or disappointment, can you hold that space for yourself instead of kind of flowing it out onto the other person and going, you're the problem?
Yeah.
And it's difficult because for a lot of us, we've been in these loops since childhood. We've done the same thing since childhood.
Yeah.
We've seen it with our parents. This is the way you do it. And then we just keep repeating that pattern and we don't realize just how stuck we get
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. And you can look at a whole bunch of, you can look at your whole life. You can look at one little simple instance, like, I don't know, you get up in the morning and you have coffee.
Yeah.
And you could start breaking that down. Is this the right thing for me to do? Is this good for my health? You can take all of these little things, but even the bigger things, like you're saying, how you approach, somebody that's done you wrong or has done something that maybe doesn't align with you or annoys you, and just shift your perspective of that just a little bit.
Yeah.
And once you start shifting those, I find that it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And you start shifting more. And I do think that those cycles, you start to, I don't know if you break them or rewire them. So you're not doing the same thing now.
Yeah.
The same things may happen, but you're not responding the same way.
Yes.
So it's shifting a little bit.
Yes. Which actually is a bigger shift, because once you start to shift in the way that you're reacting or the way you're responding to whatever this external stimulation is, as you start to shift that, then it's like it doesn't even matter if this external stimulation continues to show up, because now you're a different person, you're experiencing it differently, you're showing up differently, so it can't have that same juice that it once did.
Yeah.
But it also means you have to let go
Yeah.
of what you're really holding value to, right? Like,
Of that position, right? It's,
Yeah.
I've been this way, my family is this way, blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
That's all bullshit.
yeah,
It like it is. It's, once you start letting that go, yeah, you absolutely, you free yourself from those cycles.
yeah,
You're not dependent on them anymore, right? Where
Yeah.
once upon a time you may have been dependent on those cycles to continue your life because this is the way it's always been.
yeah,
Now you free yourself and things become lighter.
yeah. Well, and I think it's so important to ask yourself, is this the hill I'm willing to die on? Is this whatever this external stimulation is this the thing that I'm willing to just lose everything that I've worked for, all of the light that I'm trying to embody, all of the love that I'm trying to give? Am I willing to let this go for this one thing? And it's like, oh no, this is important, but how can I approach it from a new way? And is it possible for us to build on this hill instead of dying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, cycles are, we know that they're transcendent. Like, we know they're going to happen, right?
Yeah.
This is not something that is new, or everybody deals with these things.
Yeah.
It's just energy, and it is just cycling through what it needs to do to become whole.
Yeah. Well, it's part of that evolution, right? Like, actually, as you were talking about, like, these cycles and stuff, what I was thinking of is, like, past lives, and how a lot of times people will, when they go into past life regression or whatnot, what they end up seeing is a lot of replays of stuff that they've already experienced in the lifetime that they're living now. But it's just, sometimes it's the same characters, but they're a different person in that previous lifetime or whatever. But the energy of it is the same. The story of it is the same. And it's only when you start to shift your point of view of what did this actually mean about me, or what was it that my soul was trying to learn, if it happened in this lifetime and this lifetime and this lifetime and this lifetime, and now it's showing up again now, what is my soul trying to learn from this?
And interesting that you say that. Is that I never thought, I haven't spent a lot of time in or doing or whatever past life regressions, but think about it this way. If you're playing a different character, what are you getting from that experience? You're getting a different perspective of the same situation and from a different character's point of view.
Yeah.
And then you're continuing to do those cycles, and if you've been and you're doing these past life regressions and you're not the same character every time, there's something that you're being told that you're not picking up on.
Yeah. So, well,
and you're given these different perspectives and you're still not picking up on what the cue is that needs to happen here.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you an example. Like, so I think my oldest past life memory, well, there's two in like an Egyptian kind of timeline. So one, I know the woman's name was like Permelia or something like that. And she was attacked from behind. Her throat was slit. Her father was also killed. She knew her father was going to be killed. She tried to warn her father, couldn't save him, whatever. She was attacked. It was over. There's another Egyptian one where, with my writing, the woman in the cave, and she was thrown into the cave after they attacked her and took her writing and whatnot, and she ended up dying in the cave. There was also the one where I was the witch doctor, and I was taken in front of a Catholic church, and I was beaten to death, and I was a man in that lifetime. But it's like three different ones and then there's getting hung at the stake as well. So 4 different ones where I can go, there was a persecution that happened. And in my mind, for the longest time, I was a victim here. I was attacked. I was blah, 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 blah. Fill in the blanks with whatever victim story you want. And what I realize now is that the disconnection from God happened in those final moments. For every single one that was persecuted, it was like, why is this happening to me? I have no faith. I have no magic. I have no power. I have none of this. And what I'm realizing in this lifetime was it was in that kind of doubt that came up in those final moments, and the absolute disconnect from everything that was powerful in every single one of those people. It's like they just wanted to hide. They wanted to make themselves smaller. They wanted to disappear. And when what they really should have been doing or could have been doing, I don't want to say should, and I'm not going to shame my past life selves. What they could have done was actually honored that love and that space that they were in, and to realize just how powerful they were, right? That they didn't have to be a victim to this. And even the people that were betraying them were not necessarily attackers, right? That they were giving her the ultimate test. And I say her, because I always go back to the woman in the cave. But they were giving each version of my soul's experience an opportunity to step further into its power. But I never took that message on. And then I could also say that they went through that every single time, so I could go back and heal it in this lifetime, so I can move forward with my voice and my power in this lifetime, because maybe this is the one that counts, or maybe this isn't the one that counts and it's going to be the next one, but everything I'm doing now is building up for that next one. Do you know what I mean? So I guess the cycle that I'm closing out with all of that is thinking that I'm the victim.
Right. What I was kind of saying was you're still the victim in each one of those instances. I'm saying that in some instances and stuff that we've talked about, you get a different perspective. You're a different character where you're the murderer or you're not the victim. But I do want to come back to the victim piece, because I think that is a big one, that cycles are created. And I think there's a lot of victim cycles in this day and age.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, because it helps the ego to thrive, right? Is to be the victim.
Yeah.
And it helps a person to thrive and to not have to change and to not have to close loops. Because as long as they're a victim, it's everybody else's fault. Yeah. Right? And the moment that you go, you know what, this is my life, and I'm gonna take care of me, and I'm gonna create opportunities, and I'm gonna not let whatever's happened to me be the thing that defines me.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Yeah, and on both sides of that, right? Like, so remove that word of just the victim. Okay, so you have A and B. Both are experiencing something.
Yeah.
There's lessons to be learned through both things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we label one as good, one as bad.
Yeah.
Where both of them are just...
It's just things moving.
It's just things, events that need to happen for karma to play out the way it needs to play out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get stuck in this, well, I say we, but just a generalization that people get stuck in this victimization where everything is against me, poor me. Everything happens bad to me.
Yeah.
And I think it is an opportunity for them. And I think that it is exactly what it is. It's an opportunity for them to start looking deeper. Why am I always the victim?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or is it just me making myself be the victim?
Yes. Because if you've got kind of like this victim core wound or this core belief, I am a victim. Life happens to me. People attack me. This isn't fair. Whatever. And your thoughts create your reality.
Yeah.
Right? So then that core belief is just going to be kind of projecting out there, I am the victim here. Which then I start to draw in people who are needing a victim because they've got some sort of belief system in them. I am an attacker. I don't necessarily know that would be a belief, but I'm too powerful for whatever. I don't really know what that would be. But then those dynamics get to play off of each other, right? So you both get your thoughts fulfilled, but it's like, why do I want these thoughts to be the thing that's creating my reality?
Well, and the other question, I guess, is why do people want to stay in that, right? Instead of replacing the wheels, I'm the victim of the dishwasher because it doesn't want to roll properly.
Yeah.
They just don't want to replace the wheels. They'd rather deal with that
every day.
And out.
Yeah.
Because that is what they know. That is what's comfortable. I don't know.
Well, and I think because it's, we talk a lot about like, you change your thoughts, you change your life.
Yeah.
Right. But I think for a lot of people, and I know I've gone through this as well, where it's like, well, I've done it for a week now. And life is still not different.
Yeah.
And I've done it for a month and it's not doing anything. Or I started doing it, things started to get better. Then a lot of bad stuff happened. I forgot to do it. Now look how chaotic my life is. Now changing my thoughts is the bad thing. Or healing myself is the bad thing. And it's not as easy as that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you have to notice every single thought.
Yeah.
Every single belief system, whether it's yours, whether it's your parents, whether it's grandparents, your siblings, society, what you're listening to on TV. Like, you got to pay attention to all of that.
How you're speaking, what you're thinking.
Yeah. And then noticing it every single moment of every single day that we can think a lot of good thoughts. We can have some really clear communication with each other. We can, do all the right things that they say you're supposed to do as a spiritual person or as a good person in this world. And still there's things that we don't prefer that show up in our reality. Yeah. Because these, and I guess that's what it comes down to is, yes, your thoughts create your reality. How you respond to things creates your reality, but it doesn't mean that stuff's just not going to happen now because you've got positive thoughts. Your vehicle's probably going to break down because that's what vehicles do. Do you know what I mean? You might get a flat tire because that's what happens.
So interesting, as you said, we speak our own reality, and so in some sense, right? If you're looking for somebody to blame, to be the victim, you can really blame yourself. You don't need to look outwards to anything, one thing, because if you're creating that, you're bringing that in, you're bringing that into your field, you are the one that is making that. So if you want to get upset and you want to be the victim, then you're the victim of your own thoughts, you're the victim of your own your own dominion.
Yes. And it's a harsh reality for people to hear. And I know, because I've heard this kind of reaction from people before where, and actually I'll just use an example that I feel like we've already had this conversation actually.
We probably
like on a podcast. Interesting. I'm not actually going to share the story that I was going to share because I think it was actually in a previous podcast that we did. But I think hearing that we create our lives through our thoughts and through our beliefs, when there's really shitty things that happen in someone's life, right? Like maybe domestic violence or abuse of some sort or whatever. I know to say, oh, you created this for yourself, right? And if you want someone to blame, you can blame yourself that this person, and that one, it's so fucking tricky.
Well,
you know?
I think it goes back to the cycles too, right? So it's tricky in the sense that you create your own reality, but your reality that you're creating is based off of those cycles.
Yes.
And based off your ancestral cycles that have been played out.
Yes.
And closing those loops helps you to create, manifest, and see a different way of going about it.
Yes. And I wish there was, I'm going to say, a softer way to be able to share it because in really difficult situations like that, it's like, first off, you have to get yourself out of whatever violent situation that is. You have to get yourself out of that. You know, that's kind of number one. And then from there, you can start to kind of break down what attracted you to that relationship in the first place, or what were the cycles that kind of led you there and stuff. But yeah, it's just one of those, I think a triggering conversation for people who are in a really difficult situation, to know or to hear that, hey, your thoughts are creating or
yourself.
Yeah.
But I would agree, but we're always looking for that external source to point the finger at, right?
Yes.
It's so much easier to say, not my fault, than it is to take it all and go, okay, how am I going to fix all of this?
Yeah.
And then you got to start small, and you got to start looking at little things, and, you know, I agree that somebody hearing that, depending on what their mindset is, can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, it's like it's absolutely, that is the truth.
And here's the thing:
there's no other.
Yes, because like on the outside or the other side of being in relationships where there was slight domestic violence, I would say, I could see how my belief systems contributed to me being a person that was willing to be in that relationship, right? So I can see how I created that for myself.
I don't think you actually create the scenario. You create the lesson, right? You create the plan. So you're bringing this into your field. Those actions and what actually happens is just how it plays out. Mm-hmm. But
it's kind of like an improv piece of paper. This is a scene that needs to get played out.
It's like saying, I need to learn how to do this. You're not being specific to say, I need to learn how to do this specific way.
Yes.
It is, I need to learn this. Okay, the universe says, well, we're going to show you how to do this.
Yes, and that's just it, right? Because you say to God, I want patience. Give me patience. And God doesn't just, automatically just drop patience down into you. God gives you a bunch of opportunities where you get to be patient, where it takes you 2 hours to go to the Purolator and the Costco store. And it just is like, it should have been half an hour. But yeah, we ask for these opportunities to be able to find our voice, right? So then we're given opportunities where we need to use our voice. Yeah. Patience. Now you're waiting in lines and you're, taking extra long at a store that you didn't think you'd have to or whatever. So I do agree with you that we ask for these kind of abilities, if we can call it that. And then we're given opportunity to step into that and to start practicing that and to start learning how to actually do that.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't like the way it's presented, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
So you're going to make me like this? You're going to,
Well, especially because I know I've really struggled with patience. Like when we first got together, I was probably the most impatient person. And I feel like I've really come into my own with patience and waiting for like divine timing and just trusting the timing for the most part. I don't even want to claim that I am a patient person yet because I don't want to be given more opportunities to learn patience. But I don't even remember what I was going to say there. Oh, I guess because there was a lot of experiences that we created from my impatience that helped me to gain that skill of patience. Yeah. Things that were really delayed And it was like, why is this taking so long? Why is this taking so long? And you'd say, just be patient. I don't want to be patient. I want it right now. Yeah, you've been patient with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you mentioned there about trust, just trusting, there's a few keywords that I really have been drawn to, and this trust is being one of them, and then another one is just believe, right?
Yeah.
I think those are two very, if we just trust in what? Trust in something. Trust that everything will work out.
Yeah.
How it's supposed to work out. Don't try to force it. Believe that it will work out.
Yeah.
Believe that it is this way because it was designed that way.
Yeah.
And just surrendering to that, I don't know, the last little while I found is just it helps with a lot of things where it's just like, hey, I don't have to be upset about this. I don't have to be, because this is just the way it was. Who am I to question?
Yeah, why this is showing
This
up.
is the way it is supposed to be. I need to be aware.
Yeah.
That there's something here, but I don't need to like try to force this or whatever. I just need to let it to go. Let it do what it needs to do.
Yeah. And I think we both agree in that is a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think we've both been kind of calling each other out on that, because I guess it was Thursday night we were having a conversation, and I told you this kind of idea that I had about gifting off this course to someone else. And he kind of came back and was like, well, legally, blah, blah. And he went like very much into business kind of standpoint, which was like excellent. I needed that. But it was like, I just trust that she's been brought into my field for a reason, that her passion for this is for a reason. And if God is wanting this to be this way, it's already legal. Like universal law, it's done.
Yeah, that was quite the interesting conversation because I was approaching it from a very business aspect of things. And you weren't too sold on the idea of gifting this business away. Yeah. Right? So we were having this conversation. And I came at it with being through the work week. I'm very like about that business type mindset. And through our discussion, it was interesting because you weren't too sold. You started speaking about what your feelings, and then that turned the business aspect part that I was speaking totally around. Yeah. Where it was like, no, you are right. You've already made the decision. Yeah. You know the decision inside you because you're already saying you're trying to make me believe that this is a good idea. Yeah. Where it was just a flip from that, this was my business mind, to, okay, no, you're right. And that kind of reinforced the yes in you to go, this is 100%, this is where it needs to go because it needs to grow. Yes, because it wasn't moving. That's really what it came down to when I was able to kind of vocalize all of the kind of jumble of thoughts and emotions and stuff that I had inside of me. Talk about closing loops. Yeah. Sometimes you have to unravel from whatever those loops are. And being able to vocalize it was like, no, it still needs to live. It just doesn't need to live through me anymore. Yeah. And that's kind of where it came to a closed loop to be able to bring this offer to someone else. And she said yes, and she accepted it very gratefully. And it's like perfect alignment. It didn't have to be hard, but yeah, and it's, I think it's so important. The reason I think we brought this up is as much as we're talking about this and as much as we're practicing this, it's something that we have to remind each other of or catch ourselves in on a daily. Like it's not. We talk ourselves through it, like between you and I, right? When we have these things come up, we'll have a discussion, and it's not like it just doesn't just come like easy, folks. It's it is a conversation. Yeah. But it is it's a good conversation, and we usually get to a place of like, okay. Yeah. Well, it's just about having that curiosity, that first thought that you have, to kind of follow it. Where else what else is it attached to? Yeah. What else is kind of looping around in that? What other belief systems? What other
life experiences have you gone through, or family stuff have you gone through, or whatever, that's all fueling whatever this kind of top thought is. And the more you can do that, the less your thoughts are controlling you, and you start to get to be kind of the master of your own thoughts.
Yeah, and just to go back to that conversation, I remember it was like, coming from a very business point of view, I was giving you a lot of fear-based stuff, right? Like, oh, well, what if, you know, your name's on this, you could be liable for this, or, you know, what if you don't get accredited for this, if this person takes this course and they do whatever they want with it, and you don't get any accolades from it, or whatever. And it was just like, after, when we started talking, that perspective totally changed.
Yeah.
Or dissipated. Because the perspective's still there of, I get business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's all fear-based. And I was like feeling that fear into you, and you were deflecting it, going, no, it's okay.
Yeah. Which was such a huge, powerful moment for me as well, to realize that I could actually stand in the face of your ego kind of fear-based thoughts that you had coming up, which were all very valid points, but to be able to remain connected to my light and my kind of what my soul was telling me, this is what needs to happen next. And it was like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do that, right? That I could do it so lovingly and not even realize I'm defending myself, but it didn't feel like defense, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't like, no, I'm going to get you. It was just, this is what I truly believe. I'm convicted in this belief system that I've got going right now. Which,
between the two, got you to the end decision of, this is absolutely right.
Yeah.
And we were both in that same mindset of, no, this is absolutely the right answer.
Yeah.
Given our conversation and everything that we just talked about.
Yeah.
We both came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
At the same time, or virtually at the same time.
Yes. And I think, power moved to that fear-based thought that you had coming up, right? Because if you hadn't started kind of sharing those fears with me, and sharing, that business kind of point of view and what this is supposed to look like in a 3D world and whatnot, I never would have been able to feel what it's like to be convicted in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. And to even come into my own trust over this kind of idea, because the idea had been sitting around in my mind since June or July. Like, it's, again, closing loops. And I hadn't even spoken to you about it.
No.
Right. It was just Thursday night I finally started speaking about it. But if you hadn't come back to me with those kind of ego thoughts, if you want to call it that, or the fear-based thoughts, I don't know that the decision would have been made.
Yeah.
And so I know the ego gets a really bad rap, but I think in conscious communication with each other, it can actually help to access more of that light.
Yeah, the ego does get a bad rap, but it's essential, right? It is needed. We know this. We've done a podcast on this. It's just about that harmonization with it and understanding the ego and whatnot.
Well, and I had to harmonize with your ego, right? Yeah. To go that your fear-based thoughts to me, they were not saying I'm devaluing your opinion, I'm not listening to you, you're not understood. Like, they weren't anything like that, which would have been my ego hearing it that way, had my ego kind of shown up or whatever. But instead, because I was able to go, no, you're right, these thoughts that you have coming up, I get where you're coming from. And I think that's an essential part of having conversation with someone who's in an ego state, is understanding where they're coming from.
But you trump carded, right? You went, I trust the universe.
Yes. And that's what it all came down to. Like, there's a reason God has given me this idea. There's a reason it's been planted inside of me, and it's been culminating and whatnot, and that she's the one who's been reaching out about this. Like, it's like it's all a part of a divine design. Like, how can I argue with that? Which normally I would.
And I think it goes back to, we talk about cycles and we talk about how things play out, and really I think what it comes down to is things need to be in motion, right?
Yes.
Remember that I was talking about that quote about, if I was the universe or God speaking, and I know I've mentioned it before on our podcast about if you were just, everything was perfect, you would never move.
Yeah.
So you have to have these things that make you move, which makes you think or make you act or whatever, experience life.
Yeah.
And I think what we're speaking about in these cycles is just getting that movement going, right? It is getting the wheels on the dishwasher rolling so it moves properly. Taking this course and giving so it moves and moves other people and continues to have that momentum.
Yeah.
It's taking those cycles and not necessarily, it's completing them so they can move. So you can move that energy and transcend it where it needs to go or where it best is suited to go.
Yeah.
And not just staying dormant and staying locked in this, not doing anything, sitting in the basement, in a closet or whatever the case may be, that now you have motion and you're moving.
Yeah.
And that piece is moving and this piece is moving. And that's what energy is made to do, is to move.
Yeah. And it like the way I'm kind of seeing it in my mind as you're speaking of that is like, just thinking of like pipes in a house, right?
Yeah.
And if you've got a pipe that's, slightly cracked and so it's dripping water every time you use the sink, it's a loss of that flow of energy. And at the same time, if you've got a clog that's in the sink and maybe you've got food stuck in there or toilet paper or kid's toy or whatever, that's also just as bad, right? Like we just need to have a constant flow, and whatever that is going to look like for each person and for each experience, like how can we make this energy flow? And is it stuck, or are there things that are contributing to it right now that are allowing these kind of slower leaks to happen?
Yeah, and I think that's where the change in perspective or realizing, the different cycles in life and whatnot, and having a look at your life and how you perceive things. It was very important because it's like, okay, I've been this way, but do I have to be this way? No.
Yeah. Well, and it's also because I remember like during 2020, I was having a hard time because there was so much information that was coming to us about a bunch of stuff. And then it was like half of it is lies and this other half is not truth and whatever. And so what I found myself saying is like, I'd tell a piece of information and then I go, I have absolutely no idea if that's true. Like I might actually be just lying to you right now because I have no solid basis for that to be true. And it was a real reckoning for me to really start to question everything that I'm speaking. Can I provide truth with that?
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying actually truth, or is it just something I heard? Was it a video that I watched? And can I trust the person in the video that I watched that this is true? And so I really had to let go of, I guess, the identifications of I must be right, and really start going, is this actually correct? Can I look into this deeper? Do I need to look into this deeper? Should I be behaving this way or reacting this way?
Well, and it's hard. So that's a good point. Like with social media and whatnot, it is, what is the truth?
Yeah.
Right? And do you really need to get caught up in that?
Yeah.
Like, is that, it's a distraction from
what is the truth that's wanting to come through me?
To me, the truth, there is no, I don't have to go and look it up. Is this, no, I just know. I know who I am because I know who I am. I can't look up on Google or whatever, who is John Graham.
Yeah.
I know who John Graham is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's, that energy can get pulled.
Yeah.
And you start questioning these things, but when there's things we all know, and that I would say is that's your truth meter. It's, do you know this? Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't know this, then you don't know this.
Well, and what I found is like, I think because like during that time period with the kids in and out of school and stuff like that, when they were finally, back to school and I got to see some mom friends again and whatnot, you're looking for that connection, right? So sometimes you're grabbing something from social media so you can go and you've got something to talk about.
Yeah.
And so you're almost like seeking, I guess, connection, but then wondering, am I even trying to connect over, like, was this true, what I see?
Well, and this is what we do, and that's one thing I would say is good with social media. It does give you that common thread to be able to talk to people, right? It is, hey, did you see this? and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
But it distracts us from really building the relationships
Yes.
to a deeper.
Because I'm like, okay, so how did people start conversations back in the 1900s?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like before social media, before even newspapers were readily available for people. Back in the 17th century when there's no radios, you get a telegram or something like that. But people were having conversations with people.
And I hate to say it, it's going to sound bad, but conversations then were probably more honest. And when I say that, I mean, you see somebody that's struggling doing whatever work that they're doing. How can I help you? Are you all right? Or whatever.
Yes.
Like
we knew how to approach people. Yeah.
Where now you see somebody laying on the ground and people just walk around them and that person's on drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. Life has become a lot more complicated. There is a lot more things. But I think we have lost that honest piece, which whatever, we're still finding a way to communicate with each other. We're finding that common thread and we still want to reach out. We still want to have that community, but it's not really built on the best.
Yeah.
Well, the foundation is questionable, right? Because we don't know even that piece that's on social media, is that the truth? So we're here having a conversation about something that neither of us know is true, but we'll sit and conversate about it. That is the piece. You're conversating about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless if it's true or not.
Yeah. And I found too, when our youngest was younger, he always would question, why do we do it like that?
Everything.
What do you mean people would judge you as a parent if you let me leave the house in just my underwear? Why do you care what people might think about your parenting? And he really made me ask Google a lot of questions because there was a lot of things I just did not know the answer to.
Why is it called this? Why is it this way? Absolutely. And I think that was kind of a catalyst to some of the things we're doing now, where it's he questioned everything and we didn't. We came from a generation where it was no, this is the way it is. Don't ask questions. You just follow. Yeah. Yeah. And which then opened up the gates for us as well to go, but maybe that's not right. Yeah. Maybe there's a different way. Maybe there was a better way, and that was the way they were told that it had to be done. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll never forget when, I don't remember where we were going, but he had wanted to just leave the house in just his underwear and a pair of his rubber boots. Yeah. And it became an entire conversation in the vehicle about why I cared about what other people thought of my parenting. And that is such a hard question to answer. Why do I care? Because I do. Yeah. I don't want other people to judge my parenting. Because it's that judgment piece, right? It is. Yes. What will people... But really, what value does anyone else's judgment have on my life? Because honestly, I kind of wish I would have let him just leave the house in his underwear that day. His underwear, his rubber boots would have been perfect. He would have been, high in his happiness or whatever. Yeah. But I was really putting too much value on other people's judgments and how it would reflect on me as a parent. But I guess the thing that needed to happen most that day was him questioning that and why parents care so much. And we do, which is also something that's, I think, perpetuated by social media and everybody sees a view into everyone's life and stuff. But to question why am I this way? And I guess he helped me to break free of that loop a little bit more. I still kind of care about what people think of me as a parent, but not... I think I've got more of a knowing of how I am as a parent now than what I did back then, for sure. So, agree. I do remember, I don't know, I don't want to say I have not cared for a long time what people think, because that sounds bad. No, but you haven't. You've shown me how to not care. It's just there's so many people and there's so many things and so many different ways of thinking. It's if I tried to follow the same, to be the best way to show up the best way for everybody the way they want me to, I would have to be a different person all the time. Exactly. And that's where I cared so much about everybody else's opinions about me
right? And I'd become almost this different version. And I think you witnessed that with me as a parent, and like each kid wanted me to be a different way, and I was just kind of being blown around in the wind trying to adapt to whatever their needs were, but struggling in that so much. And you were always just this solid, like, I am who I am, and what you want doesn't matter, what you need doesn't matter, I just am who I am. And I think it's so powerful. And I do question if men are able to be in that a little bit stronger than what women are, because women, we've been taught to really adapt to everybody else's needs and wants, and to obey and be the good person, and
so
whatever.
I'll put it like this. So from a broad space, broad spectrum, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Right? When I'm with you, I'm who I am with you.
Yeah.
And each individual that I work with and each family member, I'm somebody different.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody different to them. I'm also somebody different in somebody else's perspective of what they're witnessing as that relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I try to show up as myself.
Yeah.
But I also show up and try to be that person they want me to be, or the person that matches best with them. Still keeping with myself that this is who I am. And you're not going to like some of the things I have to say.
Yeah.
But
it's still who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've taught me that over the years. And also I think just growing up and maturing and being more okay with who I am. But it was actually something I always admired about you, and also kind of felt threatened by with you, because you just have been very steadfast in who you are, and very like, I don't care if they think that about me. And I'd be like, oh, what do you mean you don't care? Like, that's a threat to my entire belief system. You're supposed to care. And I would care. Yeah. You know, and just be like, ooh, we gotta, whatever.
But I always use that as fuel to in my earlier years, it was like, you know, oh, you can't do this. Oh, I'll show you. Like, you know what I mean? So then it was like, I care what you think, but I'm going to hear this, oh, you can do this. So I'm going to always try to rise above. So in that, it was like, I do care what people think, but I'm not going to let it change my trajectory and who I am. Yeah. Sure, I hear what you're saying, but you don't know all the other things that are going on. Yeah. So that's fine. Yeah. But I'm not going to change just because you think this is right or wrong or indifferent. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big lessons that you've been able to help me learn, is to know who it's coming from, right? And it's like, it's not about disregarding everything that a person's saying. You can hear that perspective, you can hear their point of view, you can listen to them, but then really asking yourself, does this actually match what I'm trying to do? And then take it on if you want to, and not take it on if you don't want to. Because I think I spent way too much time trying to meet all of everybody's criteria of what I was supposed to be, and then apologizing when I wasn't the thing that I was supposed to be. And it's like, I just am who I am.
Breaking some cycles.
Yes, breaking a lot of cycles, really. Like, and I think maybe that's what life's all about. It's living in the cycles, but it's also breaking the cycles. It's allowing yourself to... That's what I was
kind of saying, right? Is just changing that perspective and keep that energy moving. You don't need to stay in that same loop, doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is just what it is. Yeah. And can we shift this over? Okay, so this is there's things that I thought was bad now that I think are great. There's things that I thought were great now that I think are bad. So how is that like...
so true, actually.
You know? So let's just keep that moving. Yeah. And keep experiencing and
It's so funny. A few weeks ago, I had a memory of a show that I watched come up in my mind, and there was like, it was a music episode, and this girl had written this song or whatever, and I think in 6th grade when I listened to it the first time, and I thought it was like the greatest thing ever. And so I pulled it up on my phone and I said to our youngest, like, this is probably going to be corny, but I loved this when I was in 6th grade, like, loved it. And it started and I was like right into it, like I was 12 years old all over again. And so some things stay great forever. And 12-year-old me, she really came out when I was showing him this episode. Like, I knew all the words and everything, but I do understand what you're saying about like these things that we thought were great, and I was like, why?
Okay, we just had this experience right before we started this podcast. I put on Rock Me Amadeus, and you're like, what kind of crap is this? It took me back to like 10 or 11-year-old me when I first heard the song.
Okay.
It's like, oh yeah, this song was great. Now I hear it, I'm like, it still brings up that
This, like,
age.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, yeah, this wasn't that great. Like, it was great at the time, but now hearing it, I'm like, what is this person talking about?
Yeah. No, my song withheld the strands of time. Absolutely. Yep. Anyways,
Mbop.
I love that one too. I do. I love Hanson. I love Mbop.
I do.
It's such powerful music that they wrote when they were so young. Like, truly. They've got
Well,
a lot of deep messages.
Anything that generates a response
Yes.
in you, no matter good, bad, or indifferent, that's what art is made to do, whether it's music, whether it's a painting, a book, or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that generates a response is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just like this. This is our art.
Yes. Anyways, I think we're ready to close this loop on today's
I
episode.
think so too, and we may talk about this again at some point.
We'll just keep looping around to talk about loops.
We'll loop back to this at another.
Yeah, but with a deepening every time, right? It's having more understanding and whatnot. So, yeah. Alrighty. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here today, and we look forward to connecting with you guys again next time on the Sacred Exchange. Have a great one.
Take care.